Hello guys, this is your friend. We are back with a new fanfic. Which is what of Naruto was cursed child taken by Anko and Harem Part 1. And if you enjoy this fanfic, then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. Naruto was 5 years old when he lived in the orphanage. He was picked on and bullied by not only the other orphans, but also the owners. If anyone saw his body, they would see the many bruises and scars on his body. Although he lived in the orphanage, he was hidden away in the basement, a leaking rat and spider-infested dump. All he had was a mattress and no pillow or blanket or anything for the matter. That went on for 3 years until he turned 5. He was kicked out every morning and had to beg for food. Not that ever worked, as he was always beaten up and chased away. Naruto had to hunt through bins for food until he was chased away, again. A few days after his 5th birthday, he returned to the orphanage, not that they cared anyway. Naruto had already been beaten up several times that day. He finally decided it wasn't worth another beating from his so-called legal guardians. Naruto slept outside. Luckily that evening it was hot, so he didn't get cold, lucky him. The next day, he was walking through Konoha Street when he saw some kids at the park. He approached them and asked, "Hey, can I play with you?" The kids turned around and saw Naruto. "It's the demon. Get him," they shouted. Naruto yelped, turned and run off with them chasing after him. He's been running away from people for so long that he had picked up some speed. When he had finally lost the kids, he found out that he was outside Konoha's main gates. Naruto kept on walking until he found a tree stump and sat down before he started crying. "Why does everyone hate me? It's not fair." The Kyuubi had never spoken to Naruto before, but he had witnessed what has happened to him every day, but he was still not strong enough to take over, or the whole stinking town would be a bloodbath. Naruto stood up and walked over to a nearby lake. He was looking at his own reflection when the Kyuubi spoke, "Your hated kid." Naruto looked around him. Who said that? He continued looking around, but there was nobody there besides him. The Kyuubi sighed, "I'm the demon inside of you." Naruto sniffed, "So everything they say about me is true." The Kyuubi sighed, "Kid, ignore those assholes. You're just a kid, not a demon, and you can just think whatever you want to tell me and I could hear it inside your head. You'd only look like an idiot speaking to yourself otherwise." Naruto nodded and wiped his eyes, "But they're right, I'm a monster." The Kyuubi growled, "Shut up, Naruto. You're just a kid. They're just scared of you. If you let me out, I'll kill them all for you." Naruto was shocked. "No, I won't let you out." The Kyuubi growled, "Why are you defending them? Tell me, kid, do you have any friends?" "I'll answer you, no. You don't. Then why?" Naruto sighed, "Even so, they don't deserve to die." The Kyuubi growled in annoyance, "You are soft, kid." Naruto sighed, "Just leave me alone." The Kyuubi sighed, "Fine, I'll leave you alone for now." Naruto slapped at the water, then he stood up and headed back to the gates. Whilst he was walking back, it started to rain, so he picked up the pace. 2 guards were at the gates, and they were in a foul mood, not Kotetsu and Izumo. I like those guys, as they were on guard duty, and to make it worse, it was raining heavily. "Damn it. Guard duty whilst it's raining. Can it get any worse?" he whined. The other guard sighed, "I agree, this does suck." He then looked up and smirked. "Look, it's that demon brat. Quick, close the gate." The other one smirked back. "Good idea." They quickly closed the gates just as Naruto got to the gate. Naruto knocked on the gate. "Hey, can you let me in?" The 2 guards looked at each other before one of them spoke, "Get lost, demon spawn." Naruto grabbed the gate, "Let me in. It's raining." They snapped at him. "Beat it, brat, before we beat you up." Naruto looked at them and turned, heading back into the forest. He heard laughing behind him. "Well, at least they didn't attack me," he thought. He entered the forest crying as he made his way over to a tree and curled up against the tree. Naruto was soaking wet and shivering, but somehow, he fell asleep. Meanwhile, A short distance away, Mitarashi Anko was heading back from a scouting mission. She groaned. Damn the rain. Why did it have to rain now? She started running until she sensed a chakra. It's pretty faint, but she could still sense it. She followed her senses until she came across a shivering Naruto. Even in sleep he was shivering. She was in shock. What's a kid doing out here in the rain? Anko approached him until she stopped next to him. It's the Uzumaki kid, the demon container. She got on her knees and sighed. Poor kid. She saw the cuts on his face and arms, and his were ripped. You really have it tough, kid. I know how you feel. She sighed and scooped him up. She opened up her coat and pressed his shivering body to hers, then she started running to the gate. The two guards from before saw Mitarashi Anko and they sighed. Here's the other demon. Before they know it, Anko's disappeared, appearing behind them and pulling out two kunai and pointing it at their throats. Why is the gate closed? One of them was stunned before he answered. We didn't want that demon in here. Anko used one of her snake jutsus to start choking him. He's just a kid, you assholes. If I see you locking him out again, I won't be pleased, and let's just say maybe I'll use one on my jutsus to crush your worthless bodies into dust. They both nod, knowing it's not wise to piss off this sadistic psycho snake lady. Anko sent a glare at them. You make me sick, treating Naruto like shit. One of the guards raised an eyebrow. Who's Naruto? She growled but opened her coat, showing them a sleeping Naruto. His name is Naruto Uzumaki. He's not a demon, he's just a kid. Open your fucking eyes, you're pathetic retards. She turned around and walked away. She returned to her house still carrying Naruto. Anko laid him down on her bed, but as she laid him down, his t-shirt has ridden up and she saw scars. She lifted his t-shirt up and she was stunned at first before her anger began to rise up. She punched the mattress. How can they do this to him? He's just a kid, just look at him. He's all skin and bones, doesn't he eat? She rubbed her thumb over his cheek. Kid, I'll speak to the Hokage tomorrow, sleep now. What am I saying? He is already asleep. She was about to get up when she heard him moan. I won't let you out. She raised her eyebrow. What's he talking about? Before she shrugged. She sighed, then her stomach made a sound, so she groaned. Time to eat. Should I make him something? She stood up and left the room and started to make herself some food. If anyone was looking at Naruto, they'd think he was asleep when in actual fact he was in his inner mindscape in front of a cage. Where am I? The Kyuubi grinned. You're in your inner mind, Gaki. Now it's about time we meet face to face. Naruto looked inside the cage and saw two big red eyes glaring at him, then he saw a mouth full of sharp teeth. Naruto was scared. WWH, what are you? The Kyuubi grinned. I'm the nine-tailed fox. The demon inside you. Naruto had his mouth open. I don't like this place. The Kyuubi grin widened. You can go. I just wanted you to meet me. Naruto left his inner mind and sat up with a jolt. Where am I? He then smelled something and his tummy rumbled. He climbed out of the bed and left the room following the smell of food until he arrived at a kitchen and saw some woman cooking. He looked around. Where am I? He asked. Anko heard that and turned around. Oh, you're awake. Naruto rubbed his eyes. Where am I? He asked again. And who are you? Anko smirked. Well, to answer your first question, you're at my house. I found you outside and brought you in, and to answer your other question, I'm Mitarashi Anko and you're Naruto. Naruto nodded. Okay. She smiled. So, are you hungry? His tummy rumbled, causing him to blush. She smirked at him. I'll take that as a yes. He nodded and she pointed to the couch. Take a seat. He sat on the couch and she went back to the food. Luckily I made him some, she thought. She brought over 2 bowls of ramen and she passed him a bowl. He looked at it. What is it? She smirked. It's ramen, try it. I usually eat dango, but ramen's not bad, it's about the only thing I can cook. He nodded. Ramen? Okay, never tried ramen before. He started eating before smiling. Wow. This is good. She smiled. Thanks. She watched him eat whilst she also ate, and within a minute he has eaten the whole bowl. Anko was shocked. Damn, he was really hungry. You want some more? She asked. He nodded and held out the bowl for her. She placed her bowl down and took his and headed back into the kitchen, pouring him out another bowl before returning to the couch and passing it to him. She picked up her bowl and continued eating. She looked at Naruto and he was almost finished again. He's really hungry. I've never seen someone eat so fast. So, how old are you, Naruto-kun? He looked up. She called me Naruto-kun. He thought before answering. I'm 5, I think. She nodded. Do you have a home? He shook his head. I ran away from the orphanage. Why? She asked. He sighed. They always beat me up, even the adults, and they locked me in the basement in the dark with rats and spiders, plus there were leaks all over the place. All I had was a mattress. She clenched her fists. Wait. Just a mattress? What about a pillow and sheets and covers? He looked down and shook his head. No, nothing like that, not even a blanket. I was always cold, but I never got a cold, not sure why. She clenched her fists harder, making Naruto flinch, thinking she's going to hit him like everyone else does. She noticed his flinching. He's scared of me. Naruto, you don't need to be scared of me. I won't hurt you. Ever. She assured him. He looked at her confused. Why are you being nice to me? Nobody was ever nice to me. It makes me sad. I don't know why people hate me. What did I do? I know about the QB, but I can't tell her. She will hate me like everyone else. She sighed. You've done nothing wrong, Naruto, so, you've never had a friend. He looked down again, avoiding her eyes before shaking his head. Everyone's scared of me. They spit at me and attack me, so I have to run away. No one wants to be my friend. She was watching him. Her jaw dropped in shock before she started seething. How dare they do this to him? He's 5 years old. When she looked at him, she saw that he had fallen asleep. She smirked before she picked up his empty bowl, and with hers, she puts them in the sink. Then she returned to Naruto, picking him up again and carried him back to her bedroom before laying him down. She watched him, noticing that he was still shivering. Shit. His clothes are still wet. Why didn't I feel it? She took off his t-shirt and she stopped after seeing even more bruises. Fucking hell. She clenched her fists until they turned white. Damn them. How can they do this? He's only 5. She lies down on the bed and brings him towards her and wraps her arms around him. She notices that he wraps his arms around her waist also, and she sighs. You've really been through hell. She smiled at him, but then her smile dropped off her face. I know how you feel, Naruto. I'm hated also, but I'm all grown up. I can't believe they'd do this to a kid. She sighed before resting her head on his, and within a few minutes, she was also asleep. Anko woke up first. She looked at his clothes. The t-shirt he was wearing is full of holes. The same can be said about his trousers, and his socks were also full of holes. They didn't even give him clothes. Damn them. She got up and left the house and started heading to the clothes shops. When she entered, she started looking for clothes for Naruto. She didn't notice, but she was being watched by her friend, Kurenai Yuhi. Kurenai watched Anko pick out clothes, but there were for a kid, confusing her. Anko smirked. Okay, this should do for now. She headed to the counter and paid for it all before leaving the shop and heading back home. Kurenai followed her until she was stopped by Asuma. She sighed but started talking to Asuma, although she was still wondering what the hell that was all about. Naruto woke up and climbed out of the bed, rubbing his eyes. He noticed that he wasn't wearing his top, but the house was nice and warm, so it was okay. He walked around the whole house searching for Anko, but she wasn't around. He sighed. She's gone. Just then, he heard the door open. He went to the front door and Anko smirked at seeing him. You're up. He nodded. Where did you go? She smiled and gestured for him. Come with me. He nodded and they walked into the front room. She placed the bags on the table before opening the bags. He looked at the bags and saw her pull out clothes. He was confused. They look too small for her. They are a bit small for you. She grinned. No shit. But they aren't for me, they're for you. He looked at her gobsmacked. For me? He asked her. She nodded at him. Yeah. Try them on. He picked up one of the t-shirts. It was black with the leaf symbol on it. He smiled and put it on. It fitted him perfectly. She passed him a jacket which was also black. It had the leaf symbol too. Again he put it on and she grinned. Looking good, Naruto-kun. Now put these trousers on and it's the full set. You can use the bathroom. He nodded before running to the bathroom, making her smile at his enthusiasm. He came back a few minutes later and she smirked. Lastly, put these sandals on. He sat on the couch and put on the sandals. She grinned at him. Wow, you look good, Naruto-kun, much better. He surprised her by hugging her, but she hugged him back. She thought to herself, this is probably his first feeling of affections from someone. She chuckled then when her and Naruto's tummy rumbled. Come on, I'll treat you to ramen at Ichiraku's. He nodded. Okay. She then passed him a bag. He took a look at it. It's some animal thingy. What's this for? He asked. She gave him a grin. You put your money in it. He looked confused. Money. But I don't have any money. She sighed. Well, we'll sort something out later. He nodded and she put it in his trousers pocket before they head out. Kurenai was walking down to Anko's when she saw her along with a little kid. Her eyes went wide, knowing who the kid was. Then she remembered Anko buying the clothes he was now wearing. She smiled before murmuring, those clothes suit him better than what he normally wears. Anko and Naruto finally got outside Ichiraku's. Tsuki looked at Anko. Don't see you here often. I thought you prefer Dango. She shrugged. Are you going to turn me away? Tsuki chuckled. Not at all. Who's the boy? Anko looked at Naruto. He's Naruto Uzumaki. Tsuki eyes went wide. The demon? No, he's just a kid. Well, hello there, Naruto. Welcome to Ichiraku's. Please take a seat. Anko picked Naruto up and placed him on the seat beside her. Ayame then came out from the back smiling. Hello, Anko-chan. She then noticed Naruto. Hello there, little man, my name's Ayame, what's yours? Naruto looked at Anko, who smiled back, reassuring him. Well, answer her. Naruto nodded before turning to Ayame. My name is Naruto, Naruto Uzumaki. She gave him a smile. Hello, Naruto-kun. He smiled back. Hello, Ayame-chan. Ayame smiled and so did Tsuki. So, what can I get you both? Naruto smiled. Ramen, please. Anko smirked. You better be careful. This kid eats fast, and a lot. He might put you out of business. Tsuki and Ayame both chuckled at that. Anko grinned. I'll have the same as usual. Tsuki nodded and started preparing the ramen. When the ramen arrived, Anko, Tsuki and Ayame watched as Naruto finished his first bowl in less than 2 minutes before holding out the bowl. More please. Tsuki had to pick up his jaw from the ground. He eats fast, all right. Ayame smiled and took the bowl before heading off to get him another one. Within 20 minutes, Naruto had gone through 8 bowls of ramen whilst Anko's was on her second one. Tsuki, Anko, and Ayame were astonished. What they don't know was that another girl, Naruto's age, had watched him. She was also shocked too. Naruto was the first to wake up. When he opened his eyes, found himself staring at the biggest he's ever seen. He blushed. Wow, what are those? The Kyuubi chuckled. These are called Naruto. Women are different from men. Men have while women have tits or in a vagina, but I must admit waking up to staring at those must have been quite a shock. Naruto nodded before asking, wait, what's a? The Kyuubi chuckled. The thing between your legs, kit. Naruto nodded again. Okay, and she doesn't have a, does she? He gestured towards Anko. The Kyuubi chuckled. No, but some women can, or so I've heard. Naruto nodded. Okay, hey. Can I ask you something? The Kyuubi sighed. Fire away, kid. Naruto asked. I was always cold or freezing, but I never got a cold, and when I got beaten up I was always healed. How? The Kyuubi sighed. The reason you never got a cold was because I won't allow it. You'll never get ill, kid, because of me, and the reason you were always healed was because I used my chakra to heal you. Naruto nodded before smiling. Thanks for healing me. The Kyuubi grinned. Don't mention it, kid. Just then, Anko started to wake up. She looks down and smirked. See anything you like. Naruto looked up. Huh. She chuckled. Just messing with you, kid. So time for breakfast. What do you want? Naruto smirked. Ramen. She rolled her eyes. There's other foods you know. I know I'll introduce you to Dango. He nodded. Okay. Before he got up and was about to head to the door but was stopped by Anko. Not so fast. First thing, you have to wash so you feel refreshed, and also you have to brush your teeth. He looked at her and pointed to his teeth. You mean these things? But brush them with what? She sighed. I'll show you. She scooped him up and placed him on the floor before taking his hand and leading him to the bathroom. She opened up a bag and pulls out a toothbrush. You use this, I'll show you. He watched her brush her teeth and he chuckled. You're making funny faces. She smirked at him. So will you. She finished of brushing her teeth, as well as buying him clothes. She had also bought him a toothbrush. She passed him the orange toothbrush she had bought for him. She then put toothpaste on it and handed it to him. He started brushing his teeth before he quickly groaned, this tastes disgusting. She nodded in understanding. I know. She saw him with puffed up cheeks causing her to smile. Spit it out in the sink. He nodded and did just that. That was disgusting. He grimaced. She got a flannel and brushed a soap into it. Close your eyes. He nodded and does just that. Whatever you do, don't open until I say. She warned. She started washing his face, then she stopped. You can open now. He did as she asked and opened his eyes. She grinned. Now before we go, you have to have a bath. You're still very dirty. He pouted. But I'm hungry. She grinned. Food can wait. She turned on the bath and started running water as well as putting in bubbles before she tested the water. Get in. He was about to get in when she stopped him. Take your clothes off first. He grinned. Oh. He took his clothes off, giving Anko the opportunity to see the scars all over his body. Damn these people. He finally stepped into the bath. He started playing with the bubbles. He's never had a bath before, so playing with bubbles was cool. She smiled looking at his expression. Then the doorbell rang. She gave him a smile. Continue playing with the bubbles. He nodded. Okay. She left the bathroom, heading to the front door. When she opened it, she was surprised to see her friend Kurenai Yuhi. Kurenai, hey. She greeted her. Kurenai gave her a smile. I see that you got back from your mission. Anko nodded. Oh, yeah. Yesterday evening. Kurenai grinned. So, who's the kid? Anko froze at the question. What kid? Kurenai grinned mischievously. The kid you bought clothes for yesterday, and took to Ichiraku's ramen shop. You know, the kid who's also known as the Dem. Anko sent a glare at her. Don't finish that. He's just a kid who's been beaten all his life. Kurenai was shocked, but also not surprised. Naruto yelled from the bathroom, Anko-chan. Bubbles taste yucky. Anko rolled her eyes before smiling. You're not supposed to taste them, Naruto-kun. Kurenai noticed that she said kun after his name. She smiled and stepped past Anko heading to the bathroom. Anko sighed and followed after her friend. Naruto was putting bubbles in his hair when the door opened. Naruto looked up, but it wasn't Anko-chan, it was someone else. The woman started to chuckle. You're so cute. Anko came in after the woman. What are you doing? Naruto shrugged. I don't know what to do. I've never had a bath before. Kurenai now saw the scars and sighed. Looking at Anko, how can they do this to him? He's just a kid. Anko nodded. I know, it sickens me. Kurenai smiled. Can I wash his hair? Anko raised an eyebrow. Why? She begged. Please. Anko sighed. Fine. Kurenai stopped next to Naruto. Hello Naruto, my name's is Kurenai Yuhi, I'm a friend of Anko's. He nodded. Okay. She smiled. Is it okay if I wash your hair? He looked at her. Wash my hair with what? He inquired. She smiled. Why, with shampoo, of course. He shrugged before nodding. Okay. Wait, what's shampoo? He titled his head. She grinned at his cute reaction. Shampoo is used to clean people's hair. It leaves your hair nice and clean and sometimes, silky smooth. Oh. Naruto nodded in understanding. She smiled and got a jug and poured it over his head. He didn't scream or anything. She then opened up the shampoo and poured some on his head, causing him to giggle. That tickles. She grinned. Now, whatever you do, Naruto, don't open your eyes. She warned him. He nodded. Okay, Kurenai-chan. She smiled at him and started washing his hair. After a few minutes she was done. She saw her job's done and nodded, satisfied. You can open your eyes now. He opened his eyes and two beautiful blue eyes stared back at both Anko and Kurenai. Anko nodded before gesturing to him. Out you get. He stepped out, and Anko quickly wrapped a towel around him before she started drying his body, whilst Kurenai went on drying his hair. When they were done, Anko smiled. Naruto, your clothes are on the toilet seat, you can change in here. He nodded. Okay, Anko-chan. Anko and Kurenai then both left the bathroom, leaving Naruto to get dressed. Kurenai sighed. He's 5, isn't he? Anko nodded. Yes. She then proceeded to tell Kurenai everything that Naruto told her last night. Kurenai was shocked. I never knew it was so bad. Anko nodded. I'll be taking him to the Hokage later, and then maybe I can torture his so-called legal guardians until they know what true fear really is. Before Kurenai could answer, the bathroom door opened and out came Naruto in black combat pants with a white t-shirt with the leaf symbol on it. He also has black fingerless gloves on. Naruto grinned. I look cool, right? Anko and Kurenai both chuckled. Anko grinned. You look good, kid. Now let's go and introduce you to Dango. Kurenai smiled. Treating him to your favorite food. Naruto grinned. Wonder if it will be as good as ramen. Anko grinned back. Better than ramen. Naruto shook his head. Not possible. Ramen is awesome. Kurenai smirked. Well, I have to go bye, and bye, Naruto-kun. He waved at her. Bye, Kurenai-chan. She left and a few minutes later Naruto and Anko follow her out. She lead him to the Dango stands. People were watching him and there were a few kids his age. One of them was a girl with pink hair like her dad, another girl with blonde hair like her dad, then there's a boy with a dog and his mum with an even bigger dog. Everyone was staring at Naruto. He sighed as did Anko before yelling, what the fuck you all staring at? They all looked away causing Anko and Naruto to chuckle. Anko then took his hand and led him inside the shop. She placed him on the seat and sat next to him and they ordered dango. After they've finished she grinned, so, better than ramen. He shook his head, nope, but it's my second favorite food after ramen. She accepted that. Okay, now I'm taking you to the Hokage, okay? He nodded. Did I do something wrong? She grinned. Not at all. As they left the dango shop, a small girl with blue hair was watching Naruto and Anko with her cousin. He sighed. Why are you staring at him? Hinata. She looked at her cousin. He seems like a nice boy, Neji. Neji rolled his eyes. Come on, let's go. She nodded meekly. Hi. Anko smiled. Climb on my back. We can get there faster. He nodded. Okay. He climbed on and she grabbed his legs before she used Shunshin and they arrived outside the Hokage's office. She then lets him down and sat him on the chair. I will speak to the Hokage, then I'll call you in. He nodded. Okay, Anko-chan. She smiled. Don't move. Okay. He nodded again. Okay. She walked to the door and knocked. Hiruzen was inside his office when he heard the knock. Enter. When the door opened it was Mitarashi Anko. He put down his pen. So, you have returned. How did the mission go? She shrugged. The mission went fine. I actually got back late yesterday. Hiruzen nodded. So why didn't you come see me then? Anko sighed. I got distracted. He smiled. A secret rendezvous. Anko chuckled. No, hold on, sir. She stepped to the door and opened it. Come in. Hiruzen waited until a small boy about 5 years old with blonde hair entered. He immediately knew who he was, Naruto. Anko looked at Hiruzen with a raised eyebrow. You know him, Hokage-sama. Hiruzen nodded. Yes, but I haven't laid eyes on him for nearly 5 years. Hiruzen then looked at Naruto. You've grown up. Anko sighed. Sir, do you know what the villagers do to him and how they treat him and even our fellow ninja? Hiruzen sighed. I've heard they call him names. Anko snapped. It's a bit more than that. They beat him up, and in the orphanage he was sent to, the kids there beat him up and so did his so-called legal guardians. They hardly fed him. They locked him in the basement with only a mattress and nothing else. There were leaks down there, not to mention rats and spiders also. His whole body is full of scars. Hiruzen was in shock. He never knew it was that bad. He looked at Naruto. Is this true, Naruto? Naruto looked down in shame. Yes, Gigi. Hiruzen smiled at the name then became serious. Can I see your scars? Naruto looked at Anko who nodded at him. Naruto stood up and pulled off his coat and t-shirt. Hiruzen was beyond shocked and he also was outraged. He stood up and approached Naruto. You can put your clothes back on now, Naruto. Naruto nodded and put his clothes back on. Hiruzen looked at him. Can you wait outside, Naruto? Naruto nodded and left the room. When Naruto's left and closed the door, Hiruzen then snapped. I want everyone who bullied him punished. Get me Inoichi. Anko smirked. Right away, Hokage-sama. She left the room using Shunshin and a few minutes later she returned with a blonde man. The man turned to Hiruzen. You asked for me, Hokage-sama. Hiruzen nodded. Naruto, can you come back in here please? Inoichi saw the door open and a blonde kid enter. He immediately knew who he was. Inoichi raised an eyebrow and turned to Hiruzen. What do you want me to do, Hokage-sama? Hiruzen smiled. Reach into his memories. I want the names of everyone who laid a finger on Naruto and I will deal with them. He looked at Hiruzen. Is that wise, Hokage-sama? You know what he has inside him. Hiruzen nodded. I know, but try to do your best. Inoichi nodded. Understood, Hokage-sama. Hiruzen looked at Naruto. Can you sit down, Naruto? Inoichi here will enter your mind and see your memories. Naruto looked scared, so Inoichi put a hand on his shoulder to reassure him. It won't hurt, kid, I promise. Naruto nods. Okay. Inoichi then got to work. After 10 minutes he was finished. He was pale and sweating, looking like he saw a ghost. He turned to the Hokage after a few moments. It's quite a list. He said, his voice laced with disgust. Hiruzen sighed. I don't care, write the names down. Inoichi nodded and started writing the names. Several minutes later he passed the list to Hiruzen who took it before dismissing him. You may go. Inoichi nodded. Hi, Hokage-sama. He smiled at Naruto who smiled back, then Inoichi used Shunshin to leave. Anko sighed. I want to get my hands on the people who run the orphanage. Hiruzen smirked. I might just let you. He turned to Naruto. I'm sorry this has happened to you, but it ends now. I've let your parents down. I just hope I can gain their forgiveness. Anko looked at Hiruzen. His parents. Hiruzen sighed. Naruto, can you wait outside again, please? Naruto nodded and left the room. Hiruzen sighed. I shouldn't tell you this, but you obviously care about the kids, so I will tell you. His father was the 4th Hokage, Minato Namikaze, and his mother was Kushina Uzumaki. Anko's jaw touched the ground. Are you serious? The Hokage nodded grimly. Yes. Anko nodded before she narrowed her eyes in determination. I wish to become his legal guardian and to train him. Hiruzen sighed. You do know you're an Anbu member, you have missions. Anko sighed. Can't you cut down on my missions for a while? He's just like me, he needs to be trained. Hiruzen nodded. That he does. Is there anyone else who could help whilst you're away? Anko nodded and smirked mischievously. Kurenai Yuhi knows about him. She seems quite fond of him also. Hiruzen grinned. The Ice Queen is fond of someone. Anko smirked. Yes, to be honest, if I wasn't around she'd probably cuddle him like a teddy bear. Hiruzen chuckled. I see. Very well, mission granted. You can train him and Kurenai can help you. You're also his legal guardian, so take care of him. Anko smiled. I intend to Hokage-sama, or is it Gigi? Hiruzen chuckled. I only allow Naruto to call me that, Anko-chan. Anko grinned. Understood, Hokage-sama. Meanwhile, Naruto had become bored and he was now outside. He's just standing there when he heard a girl getting bullied by 3 boys. He jumped at them and punched one of them in the face. When they saw who it was, they ran away. Although the one who was punched wanted to stay and fight Naruto, he had left with the others. Naruto looked at the girl. Are you okay? He asked. The girl looked up. She had short blue hair with a gray and purple jacket on with purple trousers. When she looked who saved her, she's shocked. She was saved by the boy who's hated, but she didn't hate him. She knew he was lonely, a bit like her. She blushed. I'm okay. Thank YUF for SS saving me. Naruto grinned a very goofy grin. No problem. He helped her up, causing her to almost faint when he touched her hand. Luckily, she didn't. Anko came out of the tower. Naruto, where are you? She then noticed him standing next to the Hyuga princess Hinata. She saw that she's blushing. She also saw him help her up. She grinned. You're a bit young for a girlfriend, Naruto-kun. She approached them. Hinata-chan. Hinata looked over. Anko-san. Naruto was confused. What's a san? Hinata smiled. I have to go. She quickly turned around and ran away. Anko grinned at her reaction. Aren't you a bit young to get a girlfriend? Naruto again was confused. What's a girlfriend? Anko sighed. Bloody hell, he needs a lot of work. Never mind, what were you doing here? Naruto scratched his head. I got bored of waiting, so I came outside. Then I saw 3 boys who were bullying her, so I punched one of them in the face and they ran away. Anko grinned. Really? Well, good on you. Now some good news, kid. From now on I'm your legal guardian, plus I'm also going to train you. She said excitedly. She was not surprised when Naruto ran into her and she opened her arms to let him cuddle her. She got on one knee and wrapped her arms around him. Now Naruto, I won't always be here. I have to go out on missions sometimes, but don't worry, Kurenai-chan will train you when I'm gone and look after you also. He nodded. Okay, I'm tired now. Anko nodded and picked him up and used Shunshin to appear outside her house. Kurenai was knocking when they arrived. She turned around. Anko, how did the meeting go? Anko grinned. I'm his legal guardian, and I'm going to train him also. Kurenai smiled and nodded. What about when you're on missions? Anko grinned. That's where you come in. Kurenai was confused. Me? Anko nodded. Yes, Hokage-sama said that you can help me and keep an eye on him when I'm away. Kurenai noticed that Naruto was asleep, resting his head on Anko's shoulder. She smiled at the cute scene. I will do what I can. Anko nodded. Well, I better put him to bed. I think he's got a girlfriend. Kurenai chuckled. He works fast. Who's the lucky lady? Anko grinned. Hinata Hyuga. Kurenai was surprised. Really? Anko grinned. He apparently saved her from bullies, even punched one of them, her knight in shining armor. Kurenai rolled her eyes. Can I hold him? Anko grinned. This isn't like you. Kurenai smirked. I know, but he's just so adorable. Anko passed Naruto to Kurenai and she was stunned. He's so light. Anko nodded grimly. I know, but that will change now. Kurenai nodded and they both headed inside. Kurenai placed him on the bed and took his sandals off before putting the covers over him. Kurenai then headed to the front room and sat down, before she and Anko started discussing how they could get Naruto stronger. It has been a day since Anko became Naruto's legal guardian. He had slept through the morning, so Anko and Kurenai bought him some more new clothes and sleeping attire and some practice weapons. They also bought him some scrolls for his training. Lastly, they bought him toiletries and they made sure to stock up with food, both agreeing that Naruto will never be skinny for much longer. When they got back to Anko's, they started putting the food away and unpacked all his new stuff whilst they continued discussing what to start with first. Kurenai sighed, "You're not going to teach him how to flirt. He's 5 years old." Anko grinned, "Why not? It will help with that Hyuga girl." Kurenai sighed, "He's 5, remember?" Anko grinned, "So, he can start his perverted ways early." Kurenai sighed at her friend's antics, "No, I won't let you corrupt him." Anko sighed, disappointed, "Fine spoilsport." Kurenai just shook her head. Naruto woke up and as soon as he sat up he heard talking. Climbing out of bed, he rubbed his eyes before reaching up and opening the door. He made his way to the kitchen again yawning and rubbing his eyes. Anko and Kurenai were talking when Naruto entered the kitchen. "I'm hungry," he said. Kurenai smirked. "He looks so adorable, I just want to cuddle him." She stood up and walked up to Naruto, scooping him up. "Had a nice sleep?" He rubbed his eyes and nodded. She carried him over and sat him on a chair. Anko smiled. "Want some breakfast?" He nodded enthusiastically. "Ramen." Kurenai got on her knees. "You can't eat ramen for breakfast, sweetheart." He yawned before asking, "Why not?" She grinned, "Because you have to eat healthily so that you can become big and strong like so many great ninjas, and to become a hero like the 4th Hokage." Anko smiled. "Yes, Naruto, I will train you to become better than your father," she thought. Kurenai then stood up and went to the cupboards and started making breakfast for the 3 of them: sausages, bacon, eggs, and toast with tea for Anko and her and orange juice for Naruto. She turned to Anko, "Can you make him some orange juice?" Anko nodded and opened the fridge, pouring him a glass and passed it to him. He starts drinking it whilst swinging his legs from side to side. He's so happy he's been alone for so long, and he's happy he now has someone. Anko and Kurenai watched him. He seemed to be happy, which in turn made them happy. Anko smirked. This must be quite a shock for him, from not having anyone to having us two just look at him now. Kurenai nodded. "I agree, he's so cute." Anko grinned. "She's so different." After they've eaten, Anko washed up whilst Kurenai helped Naruto get dressed. When the washing up is done, Anko and Kurenai took each one of his hands and they left the house, taking him to a training ground. Most civilians were shocked, and some are even shocked at the supposed Ice Queen, Kurenai Yuhi. A man stepped up to them. "What are you doing with that monster?" Anko and Kurenai were about to say something until Naruto punched him in his family jewels. Anko chuckled. "Good work, Naruto-kun." He just grinned as Kurenai rolled her eyes. Asuma walked up to them. Noticing the man on the floor clutching his bollocks, he raised an eyebrow in question. "What you up to, Kurenai?" "Ah, I see Anko's back, and who's this?" Naruto grinned. "Naruto Uzumaki, I'm going to become the best ninja ever." He nodded. "I see." He looked at Kurenai and Anko, telling them with his eyes did they know what they're doing. Anko nodded. "Yes Asuma, we know what we're doing." Naruto looked up. "What are we doing, Anko-chan?" She grinned. "We're starting your training." Asuma was shocked. "How old is he?" Naruto grinned. "I'm 5, how old are you?" He chuckled. "Older than you, kid. Will I become as old as you?" He smiled. "In time, yes." Kurenai nodded. "Come on, we have to train him." Asuma nodded. "Have fun, kid." Anko nodded. "He's going to be tired when I've finished with him." Kurenai sighed. "He's still only 5, Anko. He's too young to be trained all day long." Anko smirked. "Oh, he can handle it, can't you, Naruto?" Naruto nodded. "Yeah." Asuma nodded and walked off while Anko and Kurenai continued on. Time skipped 2 years. Naruto 7 years old. Naruto has drastically changed in the 2 years he's been training. He was no longer the bony kid he once was, he's also fast. Anko worked on his ninjutsu, whilst Kurenai worked on his taijutsu, not that she's the best at it. He's actually a fast learner. Anko has also taught Naruto some kunai throwing exercises and other ninja tools. After another tough day, where Anko taught him the tree walking exercise, which took him a while to learn as his chakra control was not very stable, but he finally got it down after 2 weeks. He's now lying down. Anko and Kurenai were called to the Hokage's office, leaving him by himself. One thing Naruto has noticed is when he's by himself he's always followed by Anbu, all with funny masks of animal. Today is no different. He smiled. You can come down, Neko-chan. And Anbu jumped out of the tree. You've improved a lot in 2 years, Naruto. He smirked. I guess, I wish they'd teach me kenjutsu, sword fighting is cool. The Anbu sat next to him. I could teach you, I'm trained in kenjutsu. Naruto perked up. That would be cool. When can we start? She grinned. You're not a patient person, are you? He smirked. Nope. She smirked, which of course one couldn't see because she's wearing her mask. Anko and Kurenai returned to Naruto. They've got some bad news. They got to the training field and saw Naruto sitting up talking to an Anbu member. Anko knew it was a woman. What is she doing? Kurenai teased her friend. Are you jealous? Anko. He's a big boy. Anko rolled her eyes and approached Naruto, who smiled. Anko-chan, Kurenai-chan, what did Gigi want? Anko grinned. Only you can get away with calling him that. Naruto grinned. Believe it. Kurenai smiled. Then her face dropped. Naruto, we hoped this would never happen at the same time, but we've both got missions. Naruto's smile fell, but he nodded. Okay, how long will you be gone? Anko sighed. At least 2 months. Naruto sighed. Wow, that's a long time. I thought you were going to teach me that walking on water exercise. Anko sighed. Sorry, Naruto-kun, when we get back, I'll teach you. Yugao spoke up. I can teach him. I've already agreed to teach him kenjutsu. Kurenai seemed confused. May I ask why you are even here? Yugao nodded. Hokage-sama has us keeping watch over Naruto when he's alone. Anko's about to get angry when Kurenai put her hand on her shoulder, calming her down. It's a good idea, especially now we both have missions. Anko reluctantly agreed. I guess you're right. She turned to Yugao. If anything happens to Naruto-kun, I'll kill you. Yugao simply nodded. I understand, Anko. I won't let anyone but me get close to him. Naruto sighed. Hey. Anko wrapped an arm around him. I know, Naruto, your girlfriend can get close. Naruto blushed. She's not my girlfriend. The 3 women all chuckled at his outburst. Naruto rolled his eyes. Stop making fun of me. Anko grinned and hugged him. We have to go and get ready for our mission. Be good, my little fox. Naruto blushed, then Kurenai hugged him too. Be good, okay, and no parties. Naruto rolled his eyes. Just go already. They both chuckled before leaving. Kurenai and Anko turned around and started to walk off. Anko looked around and locked eyes with Yugao. The looks she was giving her was saying, remember what I said, anyone touches him, you're dead. Yugao nodded. You have no reason to worry, Anko, I like this little fox. Yugao then turned back to Naruto. So let's start with that walking on water exercise. I'll show you what to do. First we have to take you to some water. Climb on my back. He nodded and climbed on, and she used Shunshin and disappeared. They were now outside Konoha but not far. Yugao led him down and told him to follow her, which he did. He watched her as she walked on the water and his jaw dropped in surprise. You mean it was real? I thought it was a joke. She grinned. Nope. Have you learned the tree walking exercise? He nodded and she smiled. Well, it's similar. You have to force chakra into your feet and continuously do it as water is always moving. He nodded and tried. Of course he failed and fell into the water. It happened several times for the next 2 hours until he finally got it. It was now getting late, so Yugao grinned. Good job, you really are a fast learner. Tomorrow we start your kenjutsu training. For now, You need to get some rest. I'd suggest changing your clothes unless you want to catch a cold. They started walking back. Naruto looked at her. Neko-chan, I read a book there is something called Shadow Clone Jutsu. Can I learn that? She looked at him. I'm not the best at that. I know someone who can train you though he's a nice guy although a bit of a pervert. Naruto nodded. You mean that guy with gray hair with a mask on? I've seen him, he's always reading those pervy orange books. She grinned. So you know him, then I'll speak to him if you want. He nodded. Yes please Neko-chan, so does that make you my sensei? She nodded. I guess it does, just like Anko sensei and Kurenai sensei. He smiled. I need to eat first. She asked. Where do you want to eat? He grinned. Ichiraku's. She nodded. You really like that place, don't you? He nodded. Of course. It's my favorite food. Okay, let's go then. He nodded and they started walking. It didn't take long to get there. They sat down and Tuki smiled. Well, if isn't my number one customer. What can I get you, Naruto? Naruto grinned. 7 bowls of miso ramen please. Yugao gaped at him. You can eat that much? A girl from the back walked in. Naruto-kun could probably eat more. Naruto blushed. Hey, Ayame-chan. She smiled at him. Hey, Naruto-kun. Yugao smiled. Is she his girlfriend? Tuki asked, still smiling. What can I get for you? Yugao said, miso ramen please, but only 1 bowl. Tuki nodded, coming right away. Yugao decided to tease Naruto. So, is Ayame-chan the girlfriend Anko sensei was talking about? Naruto blushed. No, and she's not my girlfriend, okay. Yugao grinned. Got it. Ayame decided to join in teasing Naruto. Oh. How can you be so mean Naruto-kun? You wanted me to be your girlfriend last week. Naruto gobsmacked. Did not Ayame-chan, you're making it up. Ayame pouted feigning hurt. That's so mean, Naruto-kun. Naruto fidgeted thinking that he made her sad. Sorry, Ayame-chan. Ayame grinned. Only messing with you, Naruto-kun. She then walked into the back while Yugao tried not to laugh. Just then the food arrived and Naruto immediately got sucked in. Yugao watched in shock as Naruto powered through the first bowl. Can he even taste it? She looked up and Tuki just shrugged and walked back into the kitchen. She started eating her own food. She lifted up her mask and started eating. Naruto noticed she's lifted up her mask. He watched her eat. She's beautiful like Anko-chan and Kurenai-chan. He smiled. You're very pretty Neko-chan. She looked at him and blushed. Thank you, Naruto-kun. He smiled and then continued eating. Yugao also continued eating. He thinks I'm pretty, he's so cute, training sure will be fun. After the food, Yugao paid for them both, then they left walking to Anko's house, also his house. Yugao smiled. Well, good night Naruto-kun, meet me in training field 7 at 9 a.m. and we will start your Kenjutsu training. Naruto nodded. Hi, Neko-chan. He used the key to open the door, then he turned around. Good night, Neko-chan. She smiled. Good night, Naruto-kun. He closed the door and she disappeared. She appeared on the roof of the next building and watched him. It was her job to keep watch on him tonight. Whilst she's watching him, Kakashi arrived. Yugao-chan, you seem to be getting attached to the kid. Yugao blushed. Not at all Kakashi, I'm just teaching him Kenjutsu, and taught him the walking on water exercise. Kakashi was shocked. He can do that already. He's only 7. Yugao nodded. Yes, but with Anko sensei and Kurenai sensei teaching him, he's strong and fast, he can already do the tree walking exercise also. Kakashi nodded. I see. She grinned. Actually, I'm glad you're here, I was wondering. He finished for her. If I could teach him Shadow Clone Jutsu. She looked at him. Were you spying on us? He shrugged. I was intrigued. I sense a lot of chakra in him, an Uzumaki trait I believe, or is it because of what's inside him? She nodded. I'm not sure. Maybe both. I sensed it also, so will you teach him? Kakashi shrugged, "I'll think about it." With that, he vanished. She sighed and continued watching Naruto. She smiled. For someone so young to be that strong is commendable. It seems Anko-sensei and Kurenai-sensei are hard taskmasters. Meanwhile, Naruto sat in his room reading a scroll about the shadow clone jutsu, but he couldn't focus. This was the first time both Anko-sensei and Kurenai-chan have been away from him for 2 years, and now they're away for at least 2 months. He rolled the scroll up and placed it on the bedside table. He laid down in his bed, but after an hour of trying to sleep, he was still wide awake. He headed to his little stash of instant ramen, which if Anko knew about this he'd be in trouble. He cooked the ramen then tucked in. When he's finished he washed up his bowl then headed back to his room. He put on his coat and boots before heading out of the house, looking around first to see if the coast was clear before jumping on the roof, and continued on his way to the Hokage Monument, a place he went to relax. Unbeknownst to him, Yugao spotted him and was following him. He gets where he's going and sits there admiring the view. Not many people are out at this time of night, neither should he if he's honest, but he doesn't care. He lies down and looks at the stars with his hands behind his head. After a while he closes his eyes, not to sleep but to think. Yugao drops down close to Naruto. She just watches him. He seems to be peaceful. Maybe he can't sleep, so he's come up here. She has to admit it's quite a view from up here. She leans against a tree and starts to eat an apple using a kunai to cut pieces of the apple up. Naruto sensed Neko-chan but didn't care. He sat up and brought his knees up and hugged them before sighing, "I wonder what Anko-chan and Kurenai-chan are up to." Yugao noticed the change in Naruto. He seems sad. Maybe he's missing Anko-chan and Kurenai-chan. They're like mother figures. After all, it's the first time they're both away from him since Anko-chan took him in. She has to admit also that he's still only 7, but he's smart and strong for someone his age. She decided to approach him. "You should be in bed, Naruto-kun. I told you we have Kenjutsu training early." He nodded. "Sorry, Neko-chan can't sleep." She sat beside him. "You miss Anko-chan and Kurenai-chan, don't you?" He nodded sadly. "It's the first time they've both away from me in 2 years." She nodded. "A nice view up here." He nodded. "Yeah, so peaceful. Sometimes I come up here to think. Somehow found my way up here a few years ago whilst running away from the mob of villagers, although I stayed up here all night. I made a mistake by doing it though, as I got such a beating when I returned to the orphanage, not because they cared or anything but because, well, I don't know why, they just kind of attacked me because they could. I wonder if she knows about the QB I have inside me." Yugao listened to him. Of course, she's heard about him being called names and attacked, but she didn't expect the people at the orphanage to attack him also. She clenched her fist. Someone so small should not be attacked because of something inside of him. He has nothing to do with what happened. I wonder why he was picked to have the 9 tails sealed in him. I wonder who his parents were. Are they alive? I doubt it. Maybe the 9 tails killed them. She watched him again and noticed that he has fallen asleep, so she scooped him up and carried him home. She placed him in his bed and smiled. "So adorable." She smiled again before vanishing and appearing on the roof across from Anko's house. It's been several months since Naruto started his Kenjutsu training with Yugao. He noticed that she was a kind woman. They spoke often after training and she quickly became a sort of auntie to him. He found out that her name was Yugao Azuki. She had allowed him to call her Azuki-sensei when it was just them or Neko-sensei if anyone was around. Yugao was very impressed with Naruto. He's a quick learner, which when she told Anko she just chuckled and told her, "That's Naruto-kun for you." As well as Yugao, Kakashi did help him learn a bit. He had asked the Hokage first before he taught Naruto the Shadow Clone Jutsu. That was only after Hiruzen asked Naruto to perform a normal bunshin, which came out all wrong. Hiruzen surmised that it was because of his chakra being so high, so his chakra coils were out of whack, so he gave Naruto the go-ahead to learn the Shadow Clone Jutsu under Kakashi's supervision. Kakashi actually taught Naruto the leaf balancing technique as well as the Shadow Clone technique. Naruto found the leaf balancing training boring as hell, but it was always good to learn new things. Away from training, Naruto also became a master of pranks such as painting the Hokage mountain in broad daylight. Oh, that was fun. Anbu, the elite of Konoha, chasing him around Konoha for several hours. He was finally caught by his sensei Yugao, and although she caught him, she couldn't punish him because he's just too cute, and well, she found what he did amusing, not that she'd tell anyone. What was easy for him was that he used a henge, so nobody actually knew it was Naruto who did it, well apart from Yugao, who saw him release the henge. That was only one of many pranks he's pulled. Anko was actually away when the monument was painted, but when he told her, she burst out laughing and even celebrated his amazing accomplishment, although Kurenai didn't see it as being a good thing. Naruto knew that in a few days he will be enrolled in the academy. He knew that some of the teachers will probably try and sabotage his training, but from what Anko said, he's already genin trained already, and in her words, it's only going to the academy to rub his training in the other kids' faces and maybe to make some friends. Several days later, Naruto woke up and climbed out of bed. Today's the day he started the academy. He left the room and entered the kitchen to see Anko at the table drinking some coffee. She looked up. "How's my little fox today?" Naruto rolled his eyes. "I'm not a fox, Anko-chan. What's for breakfast? And do I really have to go to the academy? I'm so far ahead of everyone, it's stupid. I've heard there's that Uchiha Tem there this year." Anko chuckled. "Well, to answer all your questions, yes, you are my little fox, and breakfast is pancakes. Thirdly, yes, you have to interact with people your own age and rub your skills in their faces, especially the Uchihas." Naruto just sighed, but he did grin at rubbing it in the Uchiha's face. He sat down and pulled up a plate and put some pancakes on his plate with maple syrup. He also had a cup of tea and orange juice. Anko looked up. "So you know where you're going? I have to meet Ibiki, so won't be able to take you, and Kurenai is on a mission, or is my little fox scared of walking alone?" asked mischievously. Naruto raised his eyebrow. "Please, your juvenile taunts are wasted on me, Anko-chan. I'll be fine." He grinned. "I have a surprise also. Remember that video camera I bought? I'm going to record my first day. It's going to be fun." Anko grinned. "Cool, can't wait to watch what you do. Well, you better head off." Naruto nodded. "Yeah, catch you later, Anko-chan." Naruto walked to the academy wearing black combat boots, a mesh shirt with a black trench coat, like Anko's, and black gloves and black ninja boots. He saw people glaring at him. He just gave them the finger or ignored them. The finger actually made the Kyuubi laugh his head off, which in turn caused Naruto to grin. He finally arrived at the academy and walked inside, handing in his entry sheet. The women glared at him, but he just ignored her. "Room 5, brat." Naruto turned to her and grinned. "Brat, wow, that's original. Come on, put some effort into it." The women just cussed, causing Naruto to smirk before he walked away to class 5. He stepped into the class, which was half full already. Everyone went quiet when he entered. He just smirked and started walking to a seat when a guy grabbed his arm. "I know what you are. You're the demon." Naruto rolled his eyes. "You know what I am? How nice. You want a medal or something?" The guy moved to punch Naruto, but he used Shunshin to appear behind him. The guy looked around, then charged at Naruto again, and Naruto did it again. This went on for over 2 minutes. A lot of people were shocked, not knowing what Naruto was even doing. What nobody knew was that the idiot was attacking a clone. The real Naruto was upside down, sitting down on the roof, not that anyone noticed. Naruto dispelled the clone, not that anyone noticed that either, and the guy was looking around. "Where the are you?" Naruto left him look around for a few minutes before he spoke. "Up her, Nimrod." The guy and everyone else looked up and they couldn't believe what they saw. 2 girls, one with pink hair and the other was a blonde, were speechless, having no idea what's going on or how he's doing that. Hinata watched Naruto with a smile on her face. "Naruto-kun, that's so cool. Yes, she knows his name." Everyone's still staring when a teacher walked in. He has brown hair up in a ponytail but aimed upwards, and his other distinguishing feature was a scar going across his nose. He surprised the class was quiet, until he noticed that they're all staring at the ceiling. When he looked up, he saw a kid sitting down on the roof. Amazing, has he learned tree walking already? Wait, I know him, it's that Naruto Uzumaki. The kid with the demon inside him. Still, he's not the demon despite what people might think. Naruto Uzumaki, get down from there. Naruto sighed. He stood up and walked across the roof and down the wall. The kid from before lunged at Naruto, but Naruto just grabbed his hand and started to crush it. The kid was on his knees almost crying when Iruka sighed, "Let him go, Naruto." Naruto sighed, but let go. He then used Shunshin to a chair at the back of the class. He saw Hinata and smiled at her, causing her to blush and look away. Naruto wondered why she always did that around him, but just shrugged. He saw that several kids were staring at him, including the horses himself, Sasuke Uchiha, or as Naruto likes to call him, Emo Sasuke. Naruto just smirked and carried on with the class. He found out the teacher was called Iruka Yumino, but they had to call him Iruka Sensei. He found out that the guy who attacked him was called Benso Sanjikas, but he hardly cared. Then he found out half his classmates are from clans. There's Emo Sasuke, of course from the Uchiha clan. Apparently, he's the last member left. If he expected sympathy, he could think again. Apparently all the Uchihas were thieves using their stupid Sharingan to copy moves, too lazy to learn them the hard way. Then there's Hinata Hyuga, daughter of Hiashi of the Hyuga clan. There's also Shikamaru Nara, from the Nara clan, a very smart clan but lazy as hell according to Anko-chan. There's also Ino Yamanaka, the blonde who was with the pink-haired girl. She's from the Yamanaka clan. The Yamanaka clan were mind walkers, as Anko called them. There's also Shino Aburame, from the Aburame clan. They had bugs running inside their bodies, kind of messed up, Naruto thought. There was Choji Akamichi, from the Akamichi clan, a strong clan, but apparently you should never call them fat unless you wanted a beating. Lastly, there's Kiba Inuzuka, from the Inuzuka clan, who were scouts and used hunting dogs. Anko said they were more dog than human. The only other one who he cared about was the pink-haired girl. He thought she's pretty and seemed smart. She's not from a clan, her family were merchants or so he's heard. Still, it seems she cared more about getting the attention of Emo Sasuke than becoming a ninja. A shame, really. It will only get her killed if she didn't take her training seriously. The day went slowly, Naruto tuning out the pointless drivel Iruka sensei's talking about, as he knew it already. At lunchtime, he walked away heading to Ichiraku's. Nobody's spoken to him, and to be honest, he hardly cared that much. When he sat down at Ichiraku's, Ayame smiled at him. "Naruto-kun, what can I get you?" Naruto grinned. "Let's say, 2 miso ramen, 2 beef ramen and 2 chicken ramen." Ayame smiled. "Coming right up, Naruto-kun." As Naruto's waiting, someone else entered and sat next to him. When Naruto looked, it's his teacher Iruka sensei. "Hey Iruka sensei, you also like ramen?" Iruka smiled. "I sure do, Naruto. Say, I'm impressed. You can do the tree walking exercise at your age." Ayame came in. "Oh, hello Iruka, what can I get you?" Iruka smiled. "A miso ramen, please." She nodded and walked to the back. Naruto smiled. "Yeah, I learned that when I was 5. I can also walk on water, balance a leaf and do Shunshin, as you saw." Iruka was shocked. "That's amazing, but who's teaching him?" "That is a surprise, Naruto, but who's taught you these exercises?" Naruto grinned. "My Oni-san and Obake." Iruka was confused. As far as he knew, Naruto has no family. "Naruto, who is your Oni-san and Obake?" Naruto grinned. "Why, Anko-chan, of course, but Kurenai-chan and Neko-chan are kind of like my sister or aunties. Also, they're also my senseis. Neko-chan is teaching me to use a sword. It's so cool." Iruka was surprised. He has people looking out for him and has 3 senseis. Knowing Anko, she probably told him to come to the academy to rub his training in their faces. Just then, the food arrived. Iruka looked at Naruto's 6 bowls of ramen compared to his 1, but when he looked over, Naruto has already half finished his first bowl. He looked at Ayame who just smiled and waved it off like it's normal. Later on, Iruka has brought everyone outside into the academy training grounds. He sighed, "Okay class, for the last part of the day I would like to know what you have learned so far, jutsus, all that kind of stuff. We will start from the beginning from A to Z, so Shino, you're up first." Naruto watched as Shino came up. It was quite impressive. Bugs that drain chakra were a useful weapon. He watched the others. Ino was actually funny because she took over Iruka-sensei's body and started making him do exercises. Sakura was kind of a disappointment. Shikamaru was cool using shadows to control people. Choji was impressive also. Kiba was interesting. Hinata was intriguing, but she seemed too nice to actually hurt anyone, but the skill of sealing up her opponent's chakra was interesting. If Naruto thought Sakura was a disappointment, then Benso was a disaster. He's learned nothing at all. At least Sakura could use a genjutsu. Next up was the emo Sasuke. All the girls were drooling over him like he's some kind of royalty, making Naruto almost gag. When he was done, he was smirking like he was saying, "Beat that." Naruto grinned. "Oh, I will, you emo bastard." Iruka smiled. Last up, Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto's leaning against a tree when he heard his name. He smiled and shunshin next to Iruka-sensei. He then grinned and did some hand signs. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Over 50 clones of Naruto appeared, shocking everyone and pissing off emo Sasuke. He then turned a clone into Iruka-sensei. After that, he then walked up to a tree before walking up to the top, then back down. He walked over to the lake and then across it. Whilst he's on the water, he did some hand signs. Suiden. Suiryuden no Jutsu. He fired that off and everyone's shocked. He then does more hand signs. Futon. Kazakiri no Jutsu. Naruto finally walked out of the water and grabbed a leaf and started balances it on his head for a few minutes, then made it cut in half with only Iruka knowing exactly what happened. Iruka was shocked. How can he learn all this? He's so far advanced. Well done, Naruto. Naruto grinned. Oh, I have one last trick. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. 10 clones appeared. Everyone was confused until Naruto did some more hand signs. Oroku number Jutsu. All of the clones change into a blonde girl with smoke surrounding them. The girls had 2 pigtails. They then all wrapped around Iruka-sensei. Hey Iruka-sensei, do you like this jutsu? Iruka had a massive nosebleed and passed out. The clones then disappeared and Naruto was laughing his off. Some of the guys had also passed out like that moron Benso and Kiba. Most of the girls didn't look too happy, but surprisingly Ino was still standing but had a slight nosebleed. Naruto thought that was odd. Naruto shrugged. Later, he quickly retrieved the camera and then he left the school when he saw another pervert, Ebisu. He grinned. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. He then did Oroku number Jutsu. Then ran out into Ebisu, who saw the women and passed out from a nosebleed. Naruto was watching the clone whilst filming Ebisu's reaction to it. Then he dispelled the clones and burst out laughing and jumped on the roof heading to see Gigi. Meanwhile, back at the academy, Choji and Shikamaru are talking. Choji grins, that Naruto is funny, and that last jutsu he used that was funny. I even saw Ino have a nosebleed. Shikamaru was shocked. Seriously? Wow, he doesn't seem like a bad guy, plus he pissed off Sasuke, so he's not so bad. Kiba, who's now woken up, walked up to them. Man, I can't believe Naruto did that. Everyone just nodded and walked away, leaving a still unconscious Iruka-sensei lying on the ground. Iruka finally woke up a short while later, and when he did he looked around before yelling, "Naruto." Meanwhile, back with Naruto, he's arrived at the Hokage Tower. The receptionist actually liked Naruto, and when she saw what he was wearing she blushed. He's getting more handsome every day. He'll be a knockout when he's older. You can go in, Naruto. Naruto grinned, then shunshin away before returning quickly with a rose. Here you go, Masumi. She blushed. Thank you, Naruto, how sweet of you. Naruto grinned and headed into Gigi's office. Hiruzen looked up. Oh Naruto, how was the first day at the academy? Making any new friends? Naruto shrugged. Not really, Gigi, but that's okay. Hey, let me show you my new jutsu. Hiruzen smiled. Very well. Naruto grinned and placed down the camera, then said, Oroku number jutsu. As soon as that happened, Hiruzen had a massive nosebleed and fell unconscious just like Ebisu and Iruka sensei did earlier. Naruto ran out of the room laughing and waved goodbye to Masumi before leaving the Hokage office. He's been running for a while when he heard Naruttoo. Naruto chuckled, I'm gonna enjoy the academy. Later on, Anko arrived home. Naruto was out training again, but he's left something for her. It's a recording. She set everything up and started watching. By the end, she's on the floor laughing her head off in stitches, whilst Kurenai, who arrived a short way later, was shaking her head and rolling her eyes. It's been a year since Naruto started at the academy, and like Naruto had expected, the teachers treated him like he was the stupid Kyuubi. Like, how dumb can they be? The stuff they did, well, it varied from completely ignoring him to sending him out of the classroom. They sometimes sent him out the class saying he's done something wrong, then gave him detention but just left him in the academy. Of course, he didn't fall for it and just left. Some of the other classmates wondered why the teachers did that, but just lied to them about their reasons from what his disguised clones had reported to him. Doesn't know about the memory thing yet, to be honest, he hardly cared what they did or say to him. If he wanted to find out things for himself, he'd sneak into the library thanks to Yugao-chan teaching him stealth skills, which he used to sneak into the library using a hinge to leave like he was there before. After several months of this constant neglect, he told Anko and Kurenai. Anko wasn't best pleased with what she heard, and it took Naruto and Kurenai to calm her down and stop her from killing every teacher that got in her way. Kurenai explained to a fuming Anko why it would end badly for Naruto or make it much worse in the long run. After that, they decided to let Naruto know whatever he wanted to know. Yugao also helped when he asked her. Another thing that Anko and Kurenai were disappointed about was Naruto not making any friends after a whole year. When they asked him, he would just say he didn't really care if people wanted to make friends with him. If they did, then all they had to do was talk to him. It did seem to him that some of his classmates wanted to talk to him, but in the end, nothing happened. He wasn't that bothered. He had Anko, Yugao, Kurenai, the Ichirakus, and lastly the Hokage, so that was fine with him. He's walking through the village the day before the academy started their second year. By now he's immune to all the glares and hateful words from the villagers. He's far too skilled for them to catch him, so now they hardly try, or if they do, they end up coming up empty. He's about to enter Ichiraku's when he saw a fellow classmate running past him, followed shortly by 3 civilian boys. He knew the 3 boys. They were idiots, plus he knew the girl. Her name was Hinata Hyuga, the heiress of the Hyuga clan. He knew that she's very shy and didn't have much confidence in herself, not that he knew why. She also didn't like fighting. He saved her once before from these same 3 idiots. He's surprised that neither her protector Ko or Neji were with her, and wondered why. Kurenai-chan also knew Hinata, but didn't say much about her other than she's very shy. He wondered what he should do, then shrugged and followed them all. He found them quite quickly as they chased her down an alleyway. Unfortunately for her, the only way out was through them, and they knew she won't fight back. Hinata looked around panicking. She hated being bullied, and they were so mean to her. She hasn't done anything wrong. She wondered where Ko was. Surely, he would have found her by now, but it seemed it was not the case. She looked at her 3 tormentors and sighed. It was always these 3. What do they have against her? She never knew. She's never done anything to any of them. She didn't even know them. She was then surprised to see someone else enter the alleyway, and she blushed. It's Naruto Uzumaki, the boy she's had a crush on since their first encounter. She also wanted to befriend him but hadn't got the confidence to do so. She knew others also seemed like they want to befriend him, but that hasn't happened yet. Naruto looked at the 3 idiots. Why don't you 3 pathetic weaklings just piss off? You're all losers, just leave her alone. What has she done to you? The 3 bullies knew that voice and span around to see Naruto. They knew him and knew what the villagers called him, demon brat. The leader of the three bullies then scoffed, "This doesn't concern you, demon, so get lost before we kick your after we kick hers." Naruto raised an eyebrow before placing his hand on his chest and bursts out laughing, "Oh man, you three kick my. Please, not only are you three weak civilians but I'm a ninja in training, so can kick your blindfolded, now answer me this before I kick your. Why do you three idiots keep harassing Hinata?" One of the three bullies, a rotund boy, scoffed, "She's a blind girl and a wimp, she deserves to be bullied." Naruto just rolled his eyes, "You three really are idiots. She's a Hyuga morons, if she was blind would she be able to run around like she does? No, she'd hit everything. Her eyes give her the Kekai Genkai, the Byakugan, of course, dumb idiots like yourself with no common sense better stop bullying her." They all looked like they were ready to fight, so he just vanished before they can even move and hit one of them in the gut. He followed up by doing the same to the other two. Hinata watched everything in shock, "He's so fast." Naruto looked down at the three passed out idiots before turning to Hinata, "Come on Hinata, I'll escort you home, I have to ask though, where is your guardian Ko?" She took a look at the three bullies before looking back at Naruto, blushing, I don't know." He just nodded, "Okay, well let's go then, I'm sure your dad will be worried about you." She looked at Naruto and gave him a smile, but inwardly she groaned, "If only he knew how badly he treats me and how much he disapproves of me." She then walked up to Naruto and they stepped to the side of the three idiots before they left the alleyway. It quickly became known that Naruto didn't know where he was going. She giggled at that and led him to the Hyuga compound. After a short while, they arrived at the Hyuga compound. The two guards saw Hinata, then they noticed Naruto. They were about to rush and attack him when Hinata quickly stepped in front of Naruto, effectively stopping them. Just then Hiyashi, Ko, and Neji arrived. Ko saw Hinata and sighed in relief, then he spotted Naruto, "You took her." Naruto just rolled his eyes, "More like you lost her. For being a guardian you're kind of embarrassing. What I did do is save her again from three stupid ignorant bullies who think she's blind, stupid morons, anyway I'll be going." He turned to Hinata, "See you in the academy tomorrow I guess." He then turned away and ran up the wall using his chakra before reaching the top of the wall then jumping off. They all see him vanish with Hiyashi, Ko and the guards knowing what he did. Neji, who quickly used the Byakugan and saw what Naruto did, he used chakra in his feet. Just what was that, plus the vanishing thing, he seems skilled for someone his age. After leaving the Hyuga compound, he made his way back quickly to Ichiraku's. Naruto found it empty and that's fine with him. As soon as he sits on a stool his friend Ayame came from the back room and smiled, "Hey, Naruto-kun, what can I get you?" He looked up, "Hey Ayame-chan, the usual, please well add some extra pork." "Coming right up, Naruto-kun." She then headed into the back room to hand her dad the order. Naruto sat there waiting for his first bowl of ramen when two hands covered his eyes. Guess who? Naruto pretended to think, "Are you a ramen monster?" He heard giggling, no answer again. He chuckled, "Well you must be Gigi then." Anko rolled her eyes at Naruto's antics. "Do I sound like Gigi, Naruto-kun?" He chuckled, "Not Gigi, you sound like Anko-chan." She just pouted and lowered her hands from his face and sat next to Naruto. "So how was your day Naruto-kun, causing any mischief?" He pouted, "Hey, I don't cause mischief, I prank but only people who deserve it. As for my day, I haven't done much really. I did save Hinata from those bullies again, she really needs to work on her confidence or she will continue to be bullied." She half-hugged Naruto. "Naruto-kun, the hero, how sweet." Naruto just rolled his eyes. Just then, Ayame returned, "Oh hey, Anko-chan, can I get you anything?" She shook her head, "Any chance you can take Naruto's order to go?" Ayame nodded, "Sure thing. I'll be right back." A few minutes later, Ayame passed Anko the takeout order from Ayame and paid, they both waved to Ayame before her and Naruto left. She then grinned at Naruto. I brought some dango for dessert. Naruto just nodded and they both headed to their house. The next day Naruto arrived at the academy. When he entered the classroom, he saw Hinata walking to her desk. She heard the door open and she turned around seeing her crush enter the room and he nodded at her causing her to smile at him but her face became as red as a tomato. Morning, Naruto-kun, I want to thank you for yesterday. He smiled. No problem Hinata-chan, they deserved what they get for their ignorance. She nodded then he continued walking to his desk at the back of the class beside the window. He looked out of the window and a few minutes later the door opened and the rest of the class entered with Sakura and Ino trying to push their way into the classroom and sit beside their crush Sasuke Uchiha. Naruto rolled his eyes wondering what anyone saw in the brooding Uchiha. Ever since the Uchiha massacre he became more obnoxious and arrogant, his superiority complex has grown tenfold and for some strange reason, girls seem to think that's hot, to Naruto it's just pathetic. He thought Sakura and Ino can both do better than the brooding Uchiha, but that's their choice. He did wonder why they continued to pursue him even after he treated everyone as inferior to him and ignored them. The teacher then entered and the lessons began. Of course, he expected that it will be boring. Several hours later and it was lunchtime, everyone has left to get lunch. Naruto wasn't eating right now. He's sharpening his kunai when he saw three shadows entered his own causing him to look up and see three of his classmates Shikamaru Nara, Choji Akamichi, and Kiba Inuzuka. He raised an eyebrow at the three of them. This isn't the first time those three have attempted to talk to him, but usually they backed out but not this time it seemed. Can I help you with something? Shikamaru nodded. Have you still not gained any friends yet after 2 years? Naruto rolled his eyes. Does it look like it? Why you ask? It's Kiba who asked him. Well, we've been talking and we'd like to be your friends. Naruto looked at Shikamaru, Choji, and Kiba. You do know I'm not well liked by this, oh so amazing village, right? Do you want to risk being friends with me? Again, Kiba answered Naruto, we already discussed it together, and we don't really understand why you're treated this way not only by the villagers but by our own teachers but we don't really care about them or what they think so how about it? You up for being friends with us three? Naruto looked at them all again, you sure about that? When they all nodded he just shrugged, okay then, sure why not? They all nodded happily that they have finally got that sorted out and can now get on with what they planned on doing which was eating their lunches. They all sat down and Naruto put his kunai and sharpening tools away. He saw that the three of them pulled out their bentos. He then saw Choji pull out a second bento and pass it to Naruto. I know you don't always eat at lunchtime, so my mum made this for you. Naruto looked confused. Your mum made this for me. But, why? Choji just smiled. She doesn't hate you at all. She knows how the village treats you and it annoys her. And when I told her that you don't always eat lunch and instead spend your lunch break with training, she made another lunch for you, and will continue to make you one until you realize you should eat lunch along with everyone else. Naruto looked at Choji with a weird look. Why would she do that though? Not that I'm complaining, this smell great. Choji smirked. Well, like I just said, and mum doesn't like anyone going without food, especially a friend of her son. Naruto and the others chuckled. Then Naruto shook his head. So I'm stuck with you guys then, huh? The three all nodded and got tucked into their lunches along with Naruto. Hinata wasn't far away and was happy that Naruto's finally made some friends. Now if only she could gather the courage to follow their example. She smiled and then walked away. The new friends all continued eating although Naruto sensed Hinata was there but said nothing although he wondered what she was there for. For the next few weeks, the four of them spent a lot of time together, whether it's eating together during lunches, hanging out together outside of the academy or telling each other stories about what they've done over the years. They all laughed the most at Naruto's stories, especially about his pranks and how he got away with them. not knowing that Yugao or Neko would let him get away with whatever he does as long as nobody gets hurt. Some of the other classmates watched them as if they're insane, that they would befriend Naruto Uzumaki. The teachers also thought the same thing and informed the parents of the three kids. Of course, they never expected the parents to completely blow them off. The teachers thought that the parents were stupid. Of course they were the stupid ones, as none of the parents were dumb enough to believe that Naruto was the Kyuubi. Kiba also started helping out in some of Naruto's pranks. Shikamaru and Choji even helped on occasion, with Shikamaru helping with the planning of them being the brains of the operation. Anko, Kurenai, and Yugao were all overjoyed at him gaining some friends. Yugao even thought it would be amusing with Shikamaru also helping with the planning, knowing that with him their pranks will never be the same again. It was also about this time that some of the girls also started taking notice of him, thinking that the markings on his face were kind of cute. They were the ones that weren't drooling over the Uchiha, and even some that were once big Uchiha fangirls have started to realize that maybe they were wasting their time on him. Before Choji, Shikamaru and Kiba were friends with Naruto, and when Choji wasn't with Shikamaru he was bullied because of his weight and because he didn't fight back. That all stopped when Naruto became friends with him, as some people were still afraid of him, thinking he was a demon from what their parents told them, so it wasn't a good idea to get on the wrong side of him since he had improved himself. It's now the end of another academy day and there was a 2-day break. All 4 of the new friends loved the weekends. Naruto's now was on his way to the field that he used for training when he heard the voice of Kiba. He turned around and saw Kiba, Shikamaru, and Choji walking up to him. He then sensed someone else who seemed to be following them stealthily, although whoever it was isn't doing a good job of hiding their chakra signature. He then focused more on the chakra signature and was confused, as it was Ino Yamanaka, another of his classmates and one of the Uchiha fangirls to boot. That's what confused him the most. Why would she be following Kiba, Shikamaru, and Choji? They were not really friends, although the Yamanakas, Naras and the Akamichi were all a close family as their parents were former teammates. Ever since the academy started, all she's done is pursue the Uchiha. His 3 friends finally stopped next to him and Kiba looked at Naruto with his strange look. "What's up, Naruto?" Naruto nodded behind him. "We have attracted an uninvited guest." Kiba just scoffed. "Yay, I know, I smelled them a short while ago." "So, who is it?" Naruto smirked. "Ino Yamanaka, although I'm not sure why she's here though, but enough about that. What brings you 3 here?" Shikamaru then spoke for the 2 others. "Well, we met up earlier but you were busy with Anko. We were discussing the first day at the academy, specifically what you did, and you did some cool moves, like that climbing the tree thing only using your feet. What was it exactly? Was it a jutsu, or something? If so, can you teach us?" Naruto chuckled. "Oh, you want me to train you, huh? You want to train under the great Naruto Uzumaki?" Choji chuckled. Shikamaru rolled his eyes but with a smile on his face, and Kiba burst out laughing. "Yes, we want help from the great Naruto Uzumaki." "Oh, please help us, oh great one." Naruto chuckled at his friend Kiba, then rubbed his chin. "I don't know. It will be," in quoting Shikamaru here, "it will be troublesome. What do I get out of this deal?" Choji grinned. "I'll treat you to all-you-can-eat barbecue for a month." Naruto smirked. "Well, that's a start." Shikamaru smirked. "I could teach you the game shogi. It's a strategy game." "Sounds good, Kiba." Kiba groaned. "I don't know, I'll think of something." Ino then stopped beside them. "Can you teach it to me too?" Naruto looked at her. "I have to ask Ino. What brings you here? In the 2 years at the academy you've never spoken to me once, so why should I show you this chakra control exercise? I'm trying not to be mean but I'm curious as to why you want to learn it." Shikamaru then said something that the others were probably all thinking. "Ino, why do you want to learn this, for yourself or to impress Sasuke Uchiha? I'll tell you this. Sasuke thinks he's better than anyone else and should know everything before anyone else. We all know that isn't the case, as Naruto already knows this exercise and probably more, and we all saw Sasuke's face. He was pissed. Now think on this. He won't be happy that you have learned something that he hasn't. It won't impress him, it will piss him off. Naruto nodded, agreeing with everything Shikamaru said. I agree, Ino. Sasuke will hate you for it. To him, it will be rubbing it in his face. The only reason I learned them so early is because of my legal guardians. Usually everyone learns these exercises when they become genin, so I ask again what Shika said. Why do you want to learn it? Ino looked at them both, surprised and not knowing what to say. It was to impress Sasuke, but what Shikamaru and Naruto said could be true. Sasuke would be angrier than impressed with her. Naruto looked at her, then his friends. Let Ino think on this, guys. But this applies to you also. You will learn it later on, so do you want to learn it now or later on? If you say you still want me to teach it to you, I will. The guys all said they wanted to learn it now. It will impress their parents and whomever becomes their senseis down the line when they became genin, so Naruto just nodded and walked off with the other three following, leaving Ino still thinking about it. When she looked up, she had decided to follow them, so she ran to catch up with them. It's been several tough years at the academy for Naruto. He knew some of the teachers hate him, but he didn't care anymore. They could try and sabotage him however they wanted, but they always failed. Plus, if they failed to teach him anything, he had his mum, Aunt Kurenai and Yugao to let him learn what the teachers didn't teach him. What pissed the teachers off is that Naruto's one of the best promising students. He's so good he's tied with Sasuke Uchiha for Rookie of the Year. Naruto didn't really care to be the Rookie of the Year, so he'd let Sasuke have it, although it would also increase his already inflated ego, so maybe rubbing it in Sasuke's face could be amusing. As well as improving, he had helped Shikamaru, Kiba, Choji and surprisingly Ino. After several years none of them could really understand why she trained. She had said it was for herself, but did they honestly believe that? Not likely. By the time of the graduations, Naruto, Shikamaru, Kiba, Choji and Ino have learned the tree climbing and water walking exercises, well more the later ones, as Naruto had already learned them. All of them was also surprised once when another person found them training. This was the Tem's biggest fangirl, Sakura Haruno. Naruto still liked her even if in his mind she was wasting her time on Sasuke. It's quite obvious to him and the other guys that Sasuke's obviously gay as hell. It would make sense on why he ignored all the girls. When she found them, she was unsure of what they were doing. She's seen them all disappear after the academy, and she even saw Ino following them on occasion, but most times she's went a different way and meet up with them when she's lost whoever was watching her. None of the guys cared she did that. All of them at one point have had stupid idiot villagers approach them and warn them to stay away from Naruto. They'd all just ignored them or said, yay, yay, then just walked away. Anyway, back to Sakura's first appearance. She saw them all training. She hid in the bushes at first, just watching them climb trees. She was in awe and shock, but also angry after spying on Sasuke more than one occasion. She knew that he never did this, so maybe he hasn't learned it. At first, she didn't see Ino there, and then when she did, that annoyed her. Even Ino Pig had learned this activity. She then saw more than one clone and she almost fainted. She didn't hate Naruto, but she's also quite jealous of him because he's making her Sasuke-kun look bad. She then saw them all walk up to the lake and they all started walking on it like it was solid ground. She couldn't believe it. How was this possible? She's broken out of her thoughts when the original Naruto, who sensed her for a while now, crouched down next to her. Pretty cool, huh? Climbing trees and walking on water. Sakura nodded. Am I dreaming? She then looked who's talking to her and squealed out in shock and jumped out of the bushes. Don't do that. How is there more than one of you? Naruto just grinned. It's a secret. Why are you here, Sakura-chan? She blushed. Shut up, don't call me that. Only Sasuke-kun can call me that. Naruto just rolled his eyes. And pray do tell, has he ever called you that? Or has he ever even called you anything that isn't annoying, loud and weak? Because that's all we've ever heard him say to you or any other girl. Sakura looked down in shame but says nothing. He doesn't understand my love for Sasuke-kun. Naruto then stood up and walked to the others and he approached Kiba and after a little talk, they started sparring on the water, shocking her again. After that she walked up to Ino. At first Ino was watching them spar along with Shikamaru and Choji, then she noticed Sakura and smirked. Took you long enough to come out, billboard brow. Sakura scoffed. Shut up, Ino pig. What are you doing here with them? And especially Naruto, you know people don't like him. Ino shrugged. He's helping me get stronger. I don't know why he's not liked or really care. As long as he helps me get stronger, it will help me get one step closer to Sasuke-kun. Sakura growled. No way are you getting with Sasuke-kun, why would he want to get with a pig like you? Ino smirked. Can you climb a tree using only your feet? Can you walk on water and even spar on it? I don't think so. Face it, billboard brow. I have you beaten. As soon as Sasuke-kun sees this, he'll be mine. Sakura glared at her and walked away, stopping next to Naruto. Teach me these exercises, I can't fall behind, Ino pig. Naruto just rolled his eyes. I'll ask you the same thing I asked her. Are you only learning these exercises for your precious Uchiha or for yourself? Because I really have no intention of teaching you if it's for Sasuke, as like Shikamaru told Ino, Sasuke wouldn't like you learning something before he has, and I know for a fact he hasn't learned any of these techniques. Sakura looked at Ino, but she's learned them. Naruto nodded. She said she was learning them for herself. Now whether I believe her, I'll let you decide. It's not as if I really taught her anything, she just overhears what I told the guys and followed their actions. She actually learned them quicker than any of those guys. You could be just like her or not, I don't know. Sakura clenched her fists. Teach me, for me. Shikamaru, who's close to this conversation, just sighed when he looked at Naruto. He nodded, and he's the one that showed her. When she was told to give it a try like Naruto expected, she got it, and even quicker than Ino did. She ended up rubbing it in Ino's face. Sakura didn't always train with them, only once a week, but by the end of the second week, she learned the water walking technique. After that, she stopped training with them, not that any of them really cared. Now back to the present. It's the day of the Genin graduation. Anko woke up her surrogate son and cooked them both breakfast. Naruto told her everything. She's rather disappointed in Sakura, as she told him she just used them to help her gain those 2 exercises then stopped coming. She's surprised Ino still trained with them, but she has cut back, but that's okay. After eating his breakfast and then showering, he headed to the academy. Along the way he received more glares. Some of them are parents or kids in the academy and hated he was talented and making Sasuke Uchiha look bad. They all wished he was just killed but wouldn't dare go against the Hokage, but they couldn't understand why he allowed Naruto to live. Again Naruto just ignored them. He can hear their mumbling and it didn't bother him anymore. They were just dumb morons in his mind. After walking a few more blocks, he's met by his friends Shikamaru, Choji, and Kiba. Kiba grinned. So, we ready to graduate and becomes kick, Genin. Naruto grinned. Didn't you get the memo, Kiba? You're not allowed to become a Genin. Kiba was shocked. What memo? I didn't get no memo, why am I being held back? When he saw them all laughing, he groaned. Ha ha, laugh it up guys, I'm going to be Rookie of the Year, just you watch. Naruto and Shikamaru shared a glance, both thinking the same thing. He does realize he's the dead last of the class, right? They both just shrugged while Choji just continued to shove potato chips in his mouth. They all then burst out laughing and continued talking on the way, with some villagers shaking their heads. Once they get inside, the 4 guys saw Sasuke already there. Once he saw them, he just gave that normal response, HN. All wondering if that's all he knew how to say. Well, other than I'm an Uchiha elite, he said that a lot also. As they all sat down, Naruto noticed Hinata and waved to her, and she gave a small wave back while blushing. He smiled, remembering how they became friends. Flashback no jutsu. It's been a week since Shikamaru, Kiba, Choji and lastly Ino started learning the tree climbing exercises. At the moment they're all busy. The Akamichi, Yamanaka, and Nara families have went together for a family get-together. Shikamaru says that happened every so often. With Shikamaru and Choji out of the picture, he turned to Kiba, but like the others, he was also having a clan get-together, and although Sume, Kiba's mum, and his sister Hana knew Naruto, the rest of the clan don't like Kiba hanging around Naruto. So again, that was out of the question. That left who exactly hanging around his mum was pretty cool, but unfortunately, she's away on a mission. Kurenai's on a date with Asuma-sensei. She tried to keep it hush-hush, but with Anko being her friend it wasn't going to remain a secret long. That left Yugao, but like the others, she was on a mission for Anbu. Well, that's what her boyfriend Hayate said. When asked if they could continue training in Kenjutsu, Hayate informed Naruto he was also heading out on a mission with Genma the Senbon chewing Jonin. Naruto was walking through the streets when he saw Hinata from his academy class. He'd been walking for a while and kept on spotting her following him through mirrors. He knew she has a crush on him, but he just didn't like her like that. He decided to trick her, so he turned a corner and hid in an alleyway. He only had to wait a few minutes before Hinata looked down the alleyway. Naruto then stood up from behind the bin he was hiding behind. She made eep sound. Why are you following me, Hinata-chan? She looked down in shame. I'm sorry. He sighed. No need to be sorry, you bored or something. When she nodded, he smirked. So, wanna hang out? I have nothing to do and everyone's busy with other things. She blushed. Naruto-kun's talking to me, what do? I can't believe this is happening. You can do this, Hinata. She just looked at Naruto and stammered, oh okay. Naruto grinned, okay, so have you ever played the stone skipping game? You know where you try and see how far it goes. Don't know if it has a name. She shook her head. She didn't do any fun things, her father didn't allow it. Naruto turned away and she followed behind. Once they get to a river, Naruto stopped beside it and picked up a stone and showed her what to do. She smiled. That seems like fun. For the next few hours that's what they did. She actually had one knot that Naruto really cared. It was fun. Flashback no jutsu end. That was the day they became friends. At first having a discussion with her was difficult as she was very shy and tended to faint a lot, but the more time they spent together she gradually controlled the urge to faint, but she still stuttered and blushed a lot. Naruto also knew that Kiba liked Hinata but failed to do anything. It wasn't like they'd become rivals over her or something. If anyone was his rival, well, one-sided rival, it would be Sasuke. They were tied for Rookie of the Year and Sasuke hated that Naruto was as talented or more talented than him. A lot of the time Iruka would have to break up their spars because Sasuke would always get pissed off with Naruto because they were so even in taijutsu. Well, pretty much everything. They both have a few jutsus, but Naruto's learned things Sasuke hadn't, like the tree and water walking exercise. After turning away from Hinata, Naruto looked who they were waiting for, and lo and behold, it was Sakura and Ino as per usual. The seat next to Sasuke was free like usual. Neither Naruto or any of his friends sat close to Sasuke. They don't want to get affected by the HN virus. Then Naruto heard it. It reminds him of a stampede, but it's just Sakura and Ino. He looked at the door and saw Sakura and Ino side by side arguing and saying who arrived first and who's going to sit next to their precious Sasuke-kun. Naruto just rolled his eyes and shook his head, as did Shikamaru before he placed his arms on his desk and laid his head on them before nodding off. Choji's doing what he usually did, eating, and Kiba's playing with Akamaru on his desk. Sakura and Ino finally managed to get in the door and rush over to Sasuke's desk to sit in the spare seat, but before they could, one of their classmates sits down next to Sasuke, and if you'd have paid attention closely you would have seen Sasuke nod at the classmate. With no other choice they had to find other seats. Ino found a seat but Sakura didn't, and the only seat was next to Naruto. She pouted before sitting next to him. Naruto looked at her. He still thinks she's pretty, although he preferred her with short hair like she used to have. She has grown it long after Kiba's rumor that Sasuke liked people with long hair. he'd always smirk after saying that it could mean a girl or boy. That always got a chuckle out of Naruto and the other two. Even Anko burst out laughing when she heard the rumor. She even laughed and said, "Why do you think I have my hair like I do? I don't want that emo anywhere near me." Then laughed after hearing about the HN virus from Naruto and said, "Plus I don't want to get the HN virus." Naruto smiled. "Hey Sakura-chan, fancy meeting you here." She gave him a weak smile. Over the years she's watched Naruto grow. When Naruto and the others showed her the chakra control exercises, she was thankful. She also realized that Naruto wasn't all talk, he was a talented ninja. She still thinks Sasuke-kun's way better in every way, but she knew Naruto was reliable. Sakura just smiled again. "Do you think we'll become genin today?" Naruto scoffed. "Of course we will. Sakura-chan, you are like the best kunoichi in the class, smartest also. It will be a piece of cake for you, chocolate to be exact." She giggled at that. He's always been nice to her and complimenting her. When she looked at him, she noticed him blush as he was caught staring at her eyes. "Why are you staring at me?" Naruto blushed again and looked away. "Sorry Sakura-chan, you just have beautiful eyes. I think your hair was better short though." Sakura blushed at the compliment. "Thanks, but I like my long hair." Naruto shook his head. "Whatever, you only grew it for the tem over there, and has he ever said anything nice about it, like ever?" Sakura just stayed quiet knowing he's right, but quickly snapped out of it, then heard her inner self chaw. "He knows nothing. Sasuke-kun will see us and we will be Mrs. Uchiha soon enough." Sakura just nodded and said nothing to Naruto. Not long after, Iruka and Mizuki stepped inside the classroom. Naruto liked Iruka. He knew that at first Iruka was like the other teachers, but something changed and now he on occasion went to Ichiraku's with Iruka-sensei. Then there's Mizuki. He's still like the other teachers. He's actually one of the teachers that hated him the most, and in Naruto's mind one of the most deluded. He saw him as the Kyuubi. It's really stupid to Naruto and meant that he's probably just a dumb idiot like the rest of the people who didn't know the difference. Naruto knew that Mizuki time and time again has tried to place genjutsus on his tests, but the Kyuubi easily dispelled them, and it always infuriated Mizuki when he'd find out that Naruto got top marks. He has no idea how his genjutsus should work. Iruka then told them that this is the final day as civilians, as from this day forward they will be genin if they pass their last test. Each classmate headed inside the room with Iruka and Mizuki-sensei. All come out with their headbands. There weren't many people left as Sasuke's just come out from the room with a smug look on his face, with his fangirls gushing all over him telling him how he's so cool. That just left Naruto and Ino. When Naruto's name was called, Naruto was surprised to hear Sakura wishing him good luck, so he stopped in place in shock. Iruka called Naruto's name 3 times before he snapped out of his shock. Shikamaru, Ino, Kiba, Hinata and Choji looked at Sakura wondering what she did to make Naruto freeze like that. Even Sakura's shocked. All she said was good luck. Hinata was jealous, not that she knew what Sakura said, but she knew Naruto liked her, so wondered what she said. She's also jealous because she liked Naruto. After the third call, Naruto followed Iruka, who whispered, "What did she say?" Naruto whispered back, "She said good luck." Iruka smiled. "She's right though, believe in yourself. I know you can do it, Naruto." Naruto just nodded and followed him into the back room. Once he arrived, he saw Mizuki glaring at him and smirked. "Can you make it any less obvious, Tem?" When Iruka told Naruto what to do, he remembered what the Kyuubi had told him. Flashback no jutsu. Because you have so much chakra, basic jutsus like the Bunshin no jutsu, Henge no jutsu and the Kawarimi no jutsu will be pretty much impossible, so you have to pour more chakra into the jutsus you already know, the Kage Bunshin, so that was your only real problem. Flashback no jutsu end. Naruto nodded, and did exactly what was asked of him. Iruka was glad. He knew that Naruto always struggled with the Bunshin no jutsu, so he wondered how he'll deal with that. He was surprised when Naruto used the Kage Bunshin. His jaw almost hit the floor, but he smiled and passed Naruto. He gave him a black headband which Naruto placed on his arm and walked out of the room, but not before seeing Mizuki's angry glare. Once he entered the main room, his friends were happy. They knew Naruto knew the Kage Bunshin, but he struggled with the normal Bunshin no Jutsu, although none knew why he struggled and he wouldn't tell them. Hinata's happy for her crush and now hoped they'll be placed on a team together. Sasuke wasn't so surprised. Naruto nodded at Shikamaru, Kiba and Choji, who passed him some potato chips which Naruto accepted before taking his seat. Sakura smiled at him, which he smiled back at her in return. When Iruka and Mizuki came out of the back room, Naruto could already see the glare pointed at him. Naruto just smirked. "You are up to something, Tem. You wanted me to fail. I'll have to keep an eye out for you." Iruka smiled and congratulated everyone, telling them to come back on the Monday for team placements. He then dismissed them all. Naruto fist bumped with Shikamaru and the others before they split up to meet their parents. Anko's there also and wrapped him in a hug. "I knew you could do it, Gaki." Naruto smirked. "Was there any doubt, Anko-chan?" She grinned. "Nope, now I can sneak you out of the village so we can go on missions together." Naruto looked at her like she was crazy. "Are you serious?" "No way am I ready for the missions you do." She grinned. "I think you are, but what's on your mind?" Naruto remained quiet for a few minutes before speaking. "It's Mizuki, Tem. I've told you he hates me, right?" "Well, I have a funny feeling he's up to something." Anko nodded. "Do you know what? And does he suspect you?" When Naruto shook his head, she nodded. "Well then, watch him like a hawk. I'll be tailing you, but whatever he does, if it's bad, I'll take a lot of pleasure in torturing his, but you should have no problem kicking his. He may be a chunin, but he's a, but I'll step in if things get out of hand." Naruto was surprised. "You are letting me battle a chunin if it leads to a fight?" She nodded. "You got it in the bag, but it may be nothing." Naruto nodded and followed her, but created a Kage Bunshin to keep an eye on Mizuki. After meeting up with Kurenai-chan and Yugao-chan, they all went out to eat and celebrate. After much eating, Anko informed Kurenai and Yugao of Naruto's suspicions. Kurenai's the first to object. "You seriously can't be allowing this, Anko. Naruto's your son. This is crazy. Even if Mizuki's up to something, he's a chunin." Yugao sighed. "You're taking a big risk here, Anko. I know Naruto-kun's talented, but are you going to take the risk?" Naruto groaned. "I am right here, you know. Plus he doesn't seem that tough. I can take him." Kurenai, Anko and Yugao smile at Naruto's enthusiasm, then Anko grins. "I'm going to be following him, so if things get out of hand, Big Mama Bear will step in and kick his." Kurenai and Yugao sighed, then look at each other. "We're coming too." Naruto grinned. "Cool, a fun night out with the family." Kurenai sighed. "Naruto-kun, please take this seriously." Naruto smirked. "I am. When was the last time we all went out and had some fun?" "Right now is the first time in weeks." Kurenai sighed. "Just be careful." She then turned to Yugao. "Tell the Hokage, but let Naruto deal with it if he can." Yugao nodded. "Okay, so Naruto, what's he up to now?" Naruto has already sent a second clone for a progress report. Just then the original clone he sent dispelled. He's packing everything. He plans on leaving the village. That's already suspicious right there. They all looked at each other. Then Yugao nodded. "Don't do anything until I get back." The others just continued eating while Yugao informed the Hokage. He was surprised and angry with Naruto not informing him about Mizuki's treatment, the fact he's packing and wasn't scheduled for a mission, unlike Iruka. Mizuki did go on an occasional mission, but not today. That brought up red flags. He demanded they keep an eye on Naruto and stop Mizuki if things get out of hand, but agreed to head home. Yugao then headed back to the others. She arrived just as they were leaving, so she followed them. For a while nothing happened. They spotted Mizuki, and the fact he's watching everyone and looking over his shoulder was suspicious, but for the moment they were just tailing him. After a little while, Anko left to get some dango for everyone. She returned to them and was informed that Mizuki's just entered the Hokage's tower. They all ate their dango but didn't have to wait long as they saw Mizuki sneaking out of the window with a scroll on his back. Yugao was shocked. That's the scroll of seals. They all nodded. They then saw him heading into the forest, so they all followed. Then they slowed down and allowed Naruto to go on ahead. They all hope nothing bad will happen. Meanwhile, with Naruto, he caught Mizuki, who's slowly making his way through the trees unaware he was being tailed until the branch he's on snapped. A quick wind jutsu from Naruto caused that. Mizuki landed on the ground and looked over his shoulder, spotting Naruto, and he growled at him, "That demon brat, if I kill him I'll be labeled a hero." Naruto smirked. "I don't think that belongs to you, Mizuki-tem. I believe you have stolen the scroll of seals." Mizuki glared at Naruto. "You damn demon brat, do you want me to tell you why you're hated?" Naruto rolled his eyes. "Is it because I hold the Kyuubi inside me and the villagers are too dumb enough to understand the concept of what a Jinchuriki actually is?" Mizuki's shocked. "What lies, demon? You're the Kyuubi, you're nothing else." Naruto yawned. "Like I've not heard that before. I guess you don't understand the difference between the kunai and the scroll. Now let's move on from your little lame attempt at a stalling tactic, which obviously backfired on your tem." Mizuki scoffed. "Do you really think you, a weak brat who's not even become a genin yet, can take on me, a chunin?" Naruto nodded. "Sure I can, you're a joke. I mean, when you spared with the Tem Uchiha you could barely beat him, and don't give me the excuse you weren't trying, because we both know you were. And when I went against you, well, I felt sorry for your lame, so went easy on you. Still you could never beat me." Mizuki growled. "Enough, demon brat, I'll kill you here and now." Naruto sighed. "You talk big, Tem, but can you go one-on-one with me? I mean, really. Now I'm not an arrogant arsehole like that Tem Uchiha, but I know I can take you down, so why are you stalling? Are you scared? Is Whittle Mizuki-tem scared of Whittle, old demon brat?" In the trees, Anko's trying not to laugh, as were the others, although Kurenai's wondering if Naruto was taking this seriously. Mizuki then grinned. "You asked for it, brat." Mizuki rushed at Naruto, who did the same, and they clashed, but straight from the get-go Mizuki knew something was wrong. Naruto's much faster, not knowing Naruto's already taken off his chakra weights. Within 2 minutes Mizuki already has a black eye, a busted lip, and has lost 3 teeth, his jaws either broken or badly bruised, and his nose was broken. He's also taken several blows to his ribs. Naruto's just dancing around him, even shocking the ladies watching, but Anko's grinning. Naruto grinned. "Is that all you got, Tem? I expected more from a so-called chunin." Mizuki grinned. "You think you've beaten me? Let's see you deal with th." He reached into his pocket but couldn't find what he was searching for. Naruto smirked, knowing what he's looking for. "Looking for this, Tem?" He held up an object that has a needle on the edge. "Now what were you planning to do with this?" "I'm guessing it was your ace in the hole." Mizuki growled. "Damn you, brat. Give me that, I'll kill you." Naruto shook his head and crossed his fingers. Kage Bunshin. Suddenly the whole area around Naruto was surrounded with Naruto's clones, shocking everyone there, even Anko not realizing he could make that many. They all then rushed in and started beating the crap out of Mizuki, while Anko, Kurenai and Yugao jumped down. Anko held out her hand and Naruto passed her the object. The 3 women looked at the object but didn't know what it is yet. After a few minutes of screaming and groaning before it became quiet, the clones dispelled, giving Naruto a headache, but it would be gone soon. They all looked and saw an unconscious and twitching Mizuki on the ground. Luckily, one of the clones had grabbed the scroll before it got wrecked during the beatdown. Yugao took the scroll and Anko picked up Mizuki's unconscious body. Then they all headed back to the Hokage's office. When they arrived, they saw all the Jonin minus Kurenai there, even Iruka's there. When he saw Naruto, Kurenai, Anko and Yugao arrive with an unconscious Mizuki over Anko's shoulder and the scroll in Yugao's arms, he sighed. Apparently Mizuki used the henge to look like Naruto, and a chunin saw him leave. Hiruzen smiled, glad Naruto's okay. He doesn't even look hurt. Not even his clothes were messed up. Anko then dropped Mizuki's unconscious body next to Hiruzen. She then pulled out the vial. He had this on him. After taking a closer look, it's some sort of mutation serum. I think he was planning on injecting himself with it before Naruto-kun stole it from him. Ibiki smirked. Anko, did you do this to him? Anko shook her head. Nah, this was all Naruto. Not only did he take off his chakra weights and making Mizuki his bitch, but he went cage bunchin' army on him. I counted 500 at least. They decided to use him as a punching bag. Hiruzen and everyone were shocked. Hiruzen told Yugao to take the scroll and the vial back to the vault. He then told everyone they can go, and informed Naruto that this was an A-rank mission as Mizuki was stealing top-secret information. 2 days later, everyone was back in the academy waiting for team placements. Iruka smiled and nodded at Naruto, still in shock because of what he did when he saw Mizuki's beaten body, and even cringed. He was also disappointed in Mizuki. He then looks at the new Genin hopefuls. Now everyone, first bit of information, the rookie of the year this year is Naruto Uzumaki. Congratulations. Now here are the teams. Team 1 to 6 are the same as canon. Team 7 will be a tracking and assault unit led by Jonin Sensei Hatake Kakashi. His team is Uzumaki Naruto, the rookie of the year, Inuzuka Kiba, the dead last, and Haruno Sakura Kunoichi of the year. Naruto was surprised by this team. He smirked at Kiba and smiled at Sakura. There were a few chuckles when Kiba found out he was the dead last. Sakura was saddened. She wasn't with Sasuke-kun. Hinata was saddened also, but jealous of Sakura being on the same team as Naruto. Sasuke was happy he didn't have Sakura on his team. Team 8 will be a tracking, infiltration, and recon unit led by Jonin Sensei Yuhi Kurenai. Her team will be Uchiha Sasuke, Hyuga Hinata, and Aburame Shino. Hinata was shocked. She's with Sasuke Uchiha. Shino was okay in her book and she's glad that Kurenai was her sensei. Sasuke didn't say anything, neither did Shino, while all the fangirls were glaring at Hinata though, which made her even more uncomfortable than she already was. Team 9 is a heavy assault, general purpose team still in rotation, so that's all you need to know. And lastly, Team 10, which will be an information gathering, infiltration unit led by Jonin Sensei, Sarutobi Asuma. His team will be Nara Shikamaru, Yamanaka Ino, and Akamichi Choji. Some expected this team. Ino's not happy though, but she's not surprised and she has trained with them, so it could be interesting.